Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am super excited to bring to you another video today about Days Gone, a game that I absolutely love. Maybe not everyone has this opinion, but I do. This was basically made for me. I was the target audience. And if you weren't, I totally get it. But I just want to rant for a few minutes on why I actually think this is much better than most people think it is, and why I think it shot itself in the foot right out the gate, but maybe deserves a second look. And I think maybe Sony is thinking that same thing after pulling the plug. So let's talk about Days Gone.
Bring it! Okay. So this is it? This is how we're going out? No, I don't think so.
Just what you meant to me.
Boozer? Huh? Bro?
Before you
Boozer?
lost your mind.
The night your old lady was killed. What did I say to you? What did I say to you, huh? I found you halfway through a case of whiskey. You were gonna drink yourself to death. What did I say to you?
As
You grabbed the
they
bottle.
were yesterday.
You chugged it. It was a lot of goddamn whiskey. And you told me that if I was gonna drink myself to death, you'd be right there with me. That's what brothers do.
Taylor. You can say, John. How we doing, Taylor? That fucked up, man. I didn't mean to kill him.
Baby, should've got him yesterday.
He wasn't supposed to be there. I don't want to hang. I don't want to hang. Two people walked out of this town after all was said and done.
Wish you could see just what you do to me.
Some days,
Why don't you speak no more?
I wish the hell one of them wasn't me.
And I tell you how it goes when nobody really knows just who you are today. And I just wanna go home, a place that I don't know, where I can waste away.
So, Days Gone was Bend Studios' first open world project since I think 1999's Siphon Filter. And I think from then on, they just kind of did some support projects. And then they had this idea to make a big open world game. And Days Gone is their first attempt at it. And honestly, that's a crazy good first attempt. This game has had a very crazy mixed reception basically everywhere. And to me, I like it more than most. And I actually was pleasantly surprised to see how many people on the PC side really like this game, since the PlayStation community and its PlayStation release was kind of marred by a lot of technical issues and other things that had it releasing in more of a more tepid state, where people were more mixed on the product overall. But today I wanted to talk about that and why I love this game so much. First, we're going to talk about the release and my history with the game. I played this on PS4 when it first came out, and that was a very mixed experience. I did like this game then, but I don't think I liked it quite as much now because there was a lot holding it back. When it first released, it was capped at 30 frames per second on PS4. And got a slightly higher consistency with the PS4 Pro model, but nothing that was, worth going to buy a Pro for. The controls did not feel finished. They felt like they actively fought against you the entire time. And the beginning of the game just felt kind of like a slog because some of the crafting, collecting, survival aspects weren't all the way fleshed out. However, for most people who push through the beginning section of this game, for all of its weaknesses and its strengths, we all found a very enjoyable experience. We all found a very special game that is kind of unlike any other. And I kind of liken it to the Mad Max game. Mad Max game came out and was made by Avalanche Studios, who now have made the Harry Potter game Hogwarts Legacy. Well, back then, the Mad Max game was received very mixed. It was very like, oh, this is just another one of these type games, right? But the Mad Max game was pretty good. It had its own vibe, it had its own way of doing things, and it was very enjoyable. And while it did suffer from some repetition here and there, I really enjoyed that one as I played Mad Max like a year or two back and really enjoyed my experience. Days Gone has that same thing going on, where when it came out, the genre was super oversaturated with so many zombie games, it was hard to keep up. And this one, for all the things it tried differently in its marketing cycle and its release, did itself no favors and not really concentrating on what made it so different from its competition. For instance, this game takes full advantage of its setting. Oregon is a very forested place, especially in central Oregon between the high desert and the forests. I also live here in Oregon, so I am very familiar with this area, and that's a big reason why I was so uh, drawn to this game and why I may enjoy it a lot more than others, regardless if one finds it, a 10 out of 10, a meh 7 out of 10, or even a bad game. I will enjoy that at base level. However, this game, on its own merits, I think does a lot right. So let's start with why does it lose people? To understand that, let's look at an example. There are many games that start you off at a very weak state, that have you earn your power, that have you earn everything in a way that is very organic, starting weak and then becoming like a god by the end of the game. However, the cadence of that climb is very, very important. And that's about where Days Gone kind of goes wrong at the start. See, at the beginning of this game, you are kind of weak and, for less of a better term, inconvenient. Your guns feel like they shoot BBs. Zombies can easily overwhelm you, or excuse me, freakers in this case. Another issue I have, that's a stupid name. You feel powerless against them. They feel very powerful, and your bike, the thing that is the cornerstone of this game, your motorcycle, is so bad that it is a chore to drive. Now, I get what they were going for here. Let's give them kind of a subpar bike or even a bad bike and let them, work toward a new one. That's even clear in the plot. However, beginning of this game and the end of it don't make sense in structure for this. Beginning of this game is in forested areas, heavily forested areas. Lots of twists and turns and ups and downs and a lot of traction, a lot of suspension and things needed. Things that you do not have on your bike, making your bike kind of a chore to just get around at the beginning of this game, making traversal just meh and just not great feeling, It's just all about going to the markers, doing the things at the beginning. And to be fair, you're doing that the whole game, but the actual game part of this can hold itself much better after the kind of intro segment you get here. And the same could be said for the writing, I think. I think the writing can very easily alienate a large amount of people. And that's because this game isn't traditionally written like others. In other games, dialogue is written to, always engage the player and be nice to listen to. And Days Gone has no worry about that at all. The people in this are written, I would say, almost realistically, because people just say things. I don't mean it's not scripted or it's just bad or there was no direction. I mean it feels like real life where people might say things they don't mean. People might say things kind of unclearly. They might even just make stupid decisions and say things that you're like, wait, what? Shut up. But like, that doesn't mean you dislike that character, or that like you aren't enjoying, or the story isn't going forward in a good way. It just means they are written in this way that people are really not used to. And I think this occurred to me more because I live in this area. The developers of this game live in Bend, Oregon, or at least this was made in Bend, Oregon, so I imagine most of them do. And the people in this game kind of do mirror a lot of the more crass and, tough areas of this area.
Good to see you breathing.
St. John, never thought I'd be glad to see your ugly mug.
You got any blood left in that scrawny ass of yours? It looks like you were trying to leave it all over the campus.
It wasn't all mine.
Okay, are you good to go? Because your bike's still out front. Looks like a piece of shit, but I think it's probably that way before, you know?
I could still beat your ass in a fair race.
Yeah.
Hey, St. John. Thanks.
Go on, get out of here.
Now, the gameplay issues aren't all at the start, mind you, but I do feel like a good 80% of the problem is the beginning of this game not having a very good onboarding experience and letting you feel like what you're doing just feels good to do. However, about halfway through the game, when you've really earned some trust with the factions, you've earned more weapons, your bike feels good now, gas lasts longer, you have better shocks, you can keep on the dirt roads now and on the actual roads with traction. This game starts feeling really, really good, and you start worrying about the other things. The environment as you go through this game gets more dangerous toward the end of the game. More and more things start attacking you. Bandits in the road, wolves, bears, cougars, the freakers in different capacities, whether that's a horde, a screamer that might scream you off of your bike, or even these ones later called reachers that are super fast that you can barely outrun, that when they are after you, you have to just stand and fight. There is a lot of things mixing it up. However, the actual quest design and the objective design does remind some people of a Ubisoft game. And that immediately will turn everybody off. They look at the map, they see some icons here and there, they get this feeling of, oh, I'm going around clearing these icons and doing things so that I can get these things. And you're like, oh, I've done this. It's got that Ubisoft Far Cry wheel where I'm crafting stuff, right? It's got that map marker driven exploration kinda. And I mean, to say these things is not wrong. However, in this game, I actually feel the map marker driven gameplay doesn't work quite as well. I just kind of drive around. I might track a storyline in like a general direction, but a lot of what I did in this game, at least for how I play, I just drove. Wasn't like this map marker. I was just doing the story and just driving and exploring. And I think that's the real best way to do this. And do not go around and try to kill hordes in the first half of this game. Please. I've already known some buddies, won't name names, that tried to clear too many hordes before you're actually given the go ahead, and they ended up being like, oh dude, this game is so tedious, like it takes so long to like do everything, and like fuck, I'm doing the same thing over and over. And it's like, well yeah, if you stop to clear everything all at once in the start of the game, where you have the weakest weapons, the least amount of options, and it's going to take the longest to clear these things because of your weaker status, I imagine it is going to feel pretty darn long and tedious. So wait until about the end of the game, and there's a clear story mission where it's like, oh, we're doing this. About then, start taking out some here and there. Start getting a taste of what you're doing. Because as you go, the bigger hordes there are, you're going to need traps. You need to set those traps. You need to be on the move, and you need to be prepared. And that is the best part of this game, is when you run through the story and you will have this free open world and all these tools and this great bike to drive around and just go explore everything. because there's not just the activities, there is a lot of locations to see once you're done with your activities. A lot of these locations are beautiful. It is awesome to just take in the sights, and a lot of them are very realistic to a lot of the sites around Central Oregon and even the outskirts of Oregon. Ponderosa is, as far as the eye could see, a mix of green and dust, old farmhouses, really old dilapidated buildings that look like they've been there for 100 years, because they probably have. It's a really cool game, and I really enjoy it. And, I expect that not a lot of people will share my opinion, and that's totally fine. A lot of people just straight up hate this game, and that's okay. Not every game is made for everybody, but this one, I was the target audience for. And that felt great, especially nowadays. Replaying this on PC was an absolute treat, especially with some of the enhanced graphical features updated from the PS4. There are some bugs here and there, but overall, it is a really smooth experience. And I recommend going to play this on PC, and if you're on PlayStation, go play it. There is no reason not to. This game is great. Probably super cheap by now. And here soon, we're going to have a DLC drop in the next month or so, adding new permadeath modes, new zombie horde modes, difficulties. Oh, I can't wait. And while that stuff is just extra modes and whatnot, and coming with a native PS5 version, it is kind of nice because it shows us that Sony hasn't forgotten about Days Gone, being as they straight up refused to make a number 2 when the studio asked them. Which is a whole other issue, is that even if you love this game, the end of this game will leave you hanging, and because of Sony, that's seemingly forever, on one of the coolest little cliffhangers ever. And, that really sucks. So I really hope that them showing interest in Days Gone means that something is coming in the future. Anyway, if you lasted this long on my little rant about Days Gone and how much I love this game disproportionately enough from everyone else to make a video about it, thank you. If you are a longtime subscriber of the channel, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to my unhinged rants every now and again. If you are new to the channel, subscribe and maybe like the video if you enjoyed listening. I hope everyone has a great day. Peace.